Welcome back to another episode of our general advice videos for AbiHomeschoolsToo, and today we're going to be talking about why exactly do we homeschool? A lot of different people homeschool for a lot of different reasons, and each individual family has different goals that they're looking to achieve throughout the process of homeschooling. So today we're going to be talking about what exactly is the ultimate goal from our perspective of homeschooling our children. Regardless of what aspect of life you're talking about, it's really important that we set goals. Goals are pretty much the destination of where we're trying to go, and it's difficult to create a map for where we're going if we don't know the destination. Homeschooling is no exception to that, so it's really important that we set goals for our children while they're homeschooling. The question is, how do we set those goals? What are the measurements that we're going to use to measure success? Some parents might look at the experience as, really, I'm just trying to get my child to complete a 12th grade education. I want them to graduate. And so they're following along with a regular high school curriculum, and they want to make sure that they pass grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 12. Someone else might be looking at it from the short term and say that I want my child to finish these books in this specific period of time, or I want them to accomplish these levels in this specific curriculum by the end of the year. When we first started homeschooling, one summer I sat down and I started to write out goals for my children with regards to what I wanted them to achieve over the next academic year. As I was going through this process, I took a step back and started to think about it and say to myself, wait a second, this is kind of defeating the purpose. I started to ask myself, am I just replicating the public school system inside of my own home by setting these academic hurdles that my child has to pass over in order to continue on to the next stage? Not only did this make me go back to my initial intention and realize that I definitely don't want to just replicate the public or private school system inside of my home, but also how these goals are really shallow. One of the failures of institutionalized education as we know it today is this whole concept of that you've got to go through grade 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and all of these subjects collectively, as opposed to really catering to the individual student and being able to allow them to excel in whatever they're able to excel in. I also didn't want to fall into the mistake of this institutionalized education where outside of teaching you how to read, write, and do simple arithmetic, they really focus on teaching you how to memorize, pass a test, and then forget it all. Another problem is that these schools, the amount of time it takes them to get a child to be able to do algebra or read at an 8th grade level for the average child is absurd. If I'm still teaching my child high school level subjects when he's 16, I would have considered myself having failed. So our philosophy and our ultimate goal with regards to homeschooling is that we want to instill inside of our children a love of learning and give them the tools so that they're able to study the maths, the sciences, literature, history, languages, and anything else that they might want to learn about on their own without any assistance from us, so that they're self-sufficient learners. So in order to better understand this, I would break education down into 4 different levels, and the first of which is the absolute beginner. This is the level in which the child is learning their ABCs, how to count, what numbers look like, maybe basic addition or subtraction, what the concepts mean, and at this level, they need a teacher, or in this case, the parent, to explain what do these concepts mean, what are these functions, and how do we use them. At this level, you definitely need a teacher, which in this case will be you. You don't have to be a genius to get a child through any of these stages, and they're mainly reliant upon you for directions of what they will be doing. The next stage is what I would refer to as the guided learning stage, and this is kind of like the training wheel period where the child is going to be implementing the concepts that they learned in the first level, and you're going to be giving them something and they'll be reading it on their own, they'll be doing the actual equations on their own, but you would for the most part be looking over their shoulder, making sure that they understand what they're doing and that they're doing it right. During the stage, you would be quickly correcting the mistakes that they might have in any of the subjects that they're studying. For example, if you're teaching them how to read, you might be correcting their pronunciation if they're trying to read a simple sentence. And throughout this process, you're going to be encouraging them along the way. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people never actually get out of this stage, and I don't mean homeschoolers, I mean people in general, even adults. For the most part, a lot of us need our information to be spoon-fed to us, and we're not able to move on to the next stage, which would be the stage of independent learning, which I refer to also as the curfew level. So at this point, you are able to go off on your own. You do have some boundaries that you have to stay inside of, but for the most part, you're going to be going through most of the process on your own. This is the stage where if you reach it, I really think that you as a homeschooling parent as well as your child are going to excel, because this is where you're able to take a book, give it to your child, say, I want you to read the next 20 or 30 pages and come back and explain to me exactly what it was about. Ideally, the child is going to take the book or the material, go to the place where they study, get their work done, come back and discuss it with their parent. And, we call this homework in public and private school, and a lot of people didn't actually do it. And the reason why this is going to make you successful as a homeschooling family, especially if you have multiple children, is that as each child gets older, they demand more time from the parent with regards to their own studies. So if the older children are able to be given work, they go off, they do it on their own, they come back only to have you check over what they did, this is going to free up a whole lot of time. But even this level isn't our ultimate goal. Our ultimate goal is to get to level 4, which is self-motivated learning, or what I might refer to as the love of knowledge. This is the level where you no longer have to wake up in the morning and start planning out, all right, what is my son or daughter gonna do for the day, and here are the different subjects, because maybe you find that they already stayed up all night with their nose in their favorite book, or they're constantly consumed with taking apart electronics and putting them back together. This is the level where you have to actually pull your child out of the books and say, it's time to eat lunch. This is the stage where you don't have to push and prod your child to open up a book and learn about something, because they already know what they want to learn about. And not only do they have the motivation to do so, but they also have the tools to do it. They're reading at a high level. They can do complex mathematical equations. They know how to use a dictionary. They know how to reference an encyclopedia. They know how to use a computer and all of its different applications. They're familiar with Google and different search engines. They know how to research on their own, conduct experiments, and if at any point in time they need help from someone, it's probably above your level. You might find at this level that even if you wanted to teach them, you're not really able to move at their pace, and in fact, you might find that they're able to teach you. This is our ultimate goal of homeschooling, not to get a child that can regurgitate a bunch of facts or pass a test and then forget all of the information or fit into some cookie cutter school system, but rather we want to instill the love of learning inside of our children, give them all of the tools that enable them to go and learn about whatever subject they may choose independently without the assistance of anyone else. Thanks for checking out another one of our videos. Again, we're here every Monday with general advice for homeschoolers and Fridays with our question and answer sessions. If you have any questions, comments, complaints, or concerns, you can definitely leave those down in the comments section below. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.